What if I told you that you have a unique content blueprint, and this blueprint holds the keys to you and all of your dream clients that you want to attract? And when you unlock this blueprint, not only will you become the category of one leader, you will also feel so confident and convicted in every single piece of content that you post, even if it's a post that you wrote on your phone fresh out of the shower because you had an idea pop into your mind. Now, this is what most people won't tell you about content. When you copy other people's hooks, their frameworks, or you watch videos that reveal the secret content strategy, the only thing that happens is it makes you more like them and less like you. And the very art of becoming an influential leader, of becoming somebody who is remembered and is known, is that you have your own unique essence and your own unique taste. When I think of this concept, I refer it back in my head to the band Queen. When they started doing music in the way that they did, it was really unique. Nobody had heard it before. And therefore, all of the people that felt like they maybe didn't fit into society, that they couldn't find music they truly resonated with, all flocked and became mega fans of Queen. Now, the same thing will happen for you in your content. When you try and copy other people's frameworks and copy other people's styles because you're kind of maybe afraid to be your own unique expression, well, that's when you will blend in like every other pop band that goes and does a few shows but never really gets any far. When you learn instead to turn up the dial on who you are and unlock your unique content blueprint, that is when people will flock to you like freaking raving fans. And so by the end of this video, I want you to never need another content framework again, to know exactly what your unique content blueprint is, and to start making content that sets your soul on fire. I've made well over 1,500 Instagram posts to date, not to mention emails, not to mention TikToks, not to mention YouTube videos, and all of the other pieces of content that are half baked in the drafts, that have a hook, that have like a little bit of detail, but have no ending because I was getting in my head about content. And so many incredible women do this. Now, I know for a freaking fact that when women are in our power, and I've got other videos on feminine energy in your work and in your business and in your sales, when we are truly connected to the life force of which is our business, when we are truly embodied and we have that self trust and we are connected to our divine feminine energy, content flows out of you. You've probably been through one of those phases before, right? Where you just like write piece after piece after piece of content and you cannot believe how creative you are. And then there are also times where you sit there at the laptop racking your brains. Like, why do I have no ideas all of a sudden? And then we end up in this guilt spiral, this shame spiral. Why don't I have any ideas? Oh my God, my business is failing. And that leads us to get very much in our masculine energy, which is where we start getting into our heads. This is where we actually start overthinking content and remove ourselves from the creative process and from the enjoyment and the excitement that we once felt about our content. Now, this is why content frameworks, hooks, step by steps of this is what to do when don't really work for most women, because even though they take away a temporary conflict that you might have in your mind around, I don't really know what to post today, it removes the temporary pain. But in the long run, it kind of causes more problems. It's like imagine if you have poor health and instead of going to the gym and looking after yourself, you're like, yeah, I'll get an IV drip. And you just put these plasters on the deeper problems, which often comes from within. When we lack content ideas, when we lack content structure, when we lack strategy, it's very rarely to do with the fact that you don't know what to say, and more to do with that there is something that has splintered your self trust, your self confidence, and your conviction in your work. And in fact, most women will then go ahead and look at these frameworks and look for the solution rather than coming back to the actual thing that will solve the problem, which is getting back in touch with themselves, with their work, and with their why and their mission. And so, the first thing that I want you to ask yourself to really find your unique content archetype and to find the way that you communicate in the best way possible is asking yourself, first and foremost, when do I feel the most alive? When do I feel the most alive as I'm creating my content? Now, when I asked myself this question, I realized that the least alive that I've ever felt in writing my content was when I am sat at my desk and I can picture it. I can picture being sat at my desk. I can picture the aircon's way too cold because my boyfriend had it really, really cold. And I can picture struggling to come up with any ideas as I sat there and gave myself like a 2 hour work block to write the content for the week. Now, I would drink 3 coffees to try and get some momentum flowing, but it never did. And I couldn't understand why. Yet sometimes, on other times, I would walk outside, I'd just go for a little evening walk, and boom, like 10 content downloads would come through. I'd write them faster and more like concrete than I ever had. And they were also the posts that performed better than the ones I'd spent 2 hours writing. And I asked myself, like, why is this happening? And it was because of these two things. When you are sat down and you've given yourself a 2 hour work block and you're like, I have to get this amount of content done, you're in your head and you're doing it from a place of force and from a place of pressure. When you're out walking and you're just having fun, there's ease, there's fun, there's no expectations, which allows your brain to actually be open to ideas and to creativity. So ask yourself, yours might be different to mine. Maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you love sitting down for 2 hours a week and writing it all out. But ask yourself, when do I feel the most alive? Because that is where and when I want you to spend your time writing your content. Two, the next thing I want you to ask yourself is what style of content feels the lightest and the most fun for me? Now, when I think about sitting down and creating a viral B-roll reel, brain blank. Can't think of anything. Same when I think about sitting down and creating a really, really structured piece of content that meets all of the content rules, I go blank and I can't think of anything. When I feel the best in my content is when I'm just chatting, when I'm voice noting myself, when I am doing a talking head video just in the car of an unexpressed thought that I'm having. Now, ironically, the content that feels the lightest and easiest is likely the one that your dream clients want the best. I always think this. Sometimes I'll spend a really long time on like a perfect carousel and it'll get like very minimal engagement. I'm like, damn it, I spent so much time on that. And then the content where I've just had a thought that has just popped into my mind is something that I want to say, that will always get not only engagement, but also people will want to buy from me because they've heard my opinion in a way that is clearly like very authentic to who I am. Because you are most embodied when you are doing content that you actually enjoy doing, that is felt. Right. I speak about this a lot. Energetically, your content is felt before it is heard. So you want to make sure as hell that you are embodied in what you are teaching and that you are actually doing things that you enjoy doing. The thought of doing TikToks, not for me. The thought of posting on LinkedIn, also not for me. And the thought of doing these like really, really long, dramatic posts, not for me either. I like short, easy to consume content, carousels. I love reading. I also love longer form YouTube videos. So asking yourself, what kind of content makes you feel alive? What content do you enjoy posting? And removing any conditions from it. If I had this belief of like, I can only record YouTubes when I'm in the perfect location, I'd be pretty fucked. If I had the belief that I can only record talking heads when I have my makeup done, I'd be pretty fucked. So, removing any of the conditions and any of the expectations that you have placed upon yourself that are actually preventing you from getting your message out into the world. You have a message, you have a God given gift that it is a disservice for you to hold yourself back because of the expectations that you have placed upon yourself. There are people that need your work. There is somebody that is lying in bed at night praying for someone like you to come along and help them with the problems they have. They've been trying to lose weight for years. They've been trying to heal their emotional wounds for years. They know their nervous system is dysregulated, but they don't know what to do about it. And this is where your content has to be so rooted in your mission and in your why. And you have to find the content that makes you feel the most alive so that they feel it on an energetic level and go, that person is the person for me. Next up in finding your creative content genius codes is really asking yourself, what kind of content do I like to consume and why? So when I was auditing my own buying behaviors about a year and a half ago, I was really asking myself, what type of communication do I enjoy in somebody's content that makes me want to buy from them? And it was clear as fucking day. And it was also the very thing that I had been avoiding doing. Okay. So I love clear cut communication. I like it when somebody calls me out a little bit. I like it when somebody is bold. I like it when somebody is direct. And I like it when somebody is unapologetic about themselves and their beliefs, even if their beliefs and their opinions I don't necessarily agree with. I like the confidence and the conviction and the self trust that they clearly have within themselves to be able to say it with such audacity and stake a stand. And I also noticed I was avoiding that style of content because I was afraid of not hurting potential clients' feelings, but I was afraid of hurting my current client feelings. I knew that my current clients needed to hear what I was saying. They needed me to call them out on their bullshit. But because I was holding this people pleasing, honestly, and I was kind of afraid to say what needed to be said in case of them not liking it, in case of them turning on me, I didn't post the kind of content that I was actually attracted to, which feels like a very weird thing to do. But we do these things when we get in our own heads. And this is exactly what I'm saying. And so what I started doing was asking, okay, how would I want to receive this information? So when I then went into my content, I didn't ask, what do I think people want me to say? I asked myself, what would I want to say and how would I want to receive it? And I started doing my content in that exact way. Now, again, this unlocked another level of creativity for me because I no longer felt like I was hiding or holding back my truth. When I was holding back my truth and I wasn't really saying it, I'd find different ways to try and get to my point that were like through metaphors or that were through analogies or through personal stories to try and hone in the point without actually just being direct and saying what I wanted to fucking say. And a really powerful magnetic force and energy specifically for women and for powerful women is we want to meet power meets with power. I want to know that if I'm hiring somebody to teach me anything, whether it's mindset, whether it's business, whether it's therapy. I want to know that they can handle the fullness of who I am, which includes the bold me, the vulnerable me, the sad me, the kind me, the sassy me. And so when you get across your entire personality in your content because you just unleash the fucking muzzle that you have on your mouth and you stop subscribing to it has to fit in this framework or I don't understand, you do know what to post. It's that you are placing this metaphorical muzzle over your own mouth because there is a part of you that is deeply afraid of being seen or heard or exposed for who you truly are. And when you can understand this and when you can realize, oh my God, all content frameworks are just me outsourcing my self trust and my self power because I need something. I need something to help me explain why I'm so in my head and to just give me a simple framework for getting out of my head. When in actuality, what you need to do is tap into your body and really ask yourself who you are, how you want somebody to feel when they read your posts, your dream clients. Let's say you are somebody who is really empathetic, right? You're really empathetic. You don't really take a confrontational approach. You're the opposite of me. I'm very confrontational. Maybe you're very empathetic. Maybe you're very soft spoken. Maybe you're very I don't know what the right word is, like um probably more like in your really like soft feminine energy, right? That so many incredible leaders are that are very heart-centered. Now, you have to speak in that way. Don't put on a facade of being somebody who is bold, who is audacious. You have bold and audaciousness in your own way, but maybe your actual truth is that you really just want to help and nurture and love people. And you want to love people to help empower them to find their truth, right? Maybe that's what you do. When you are then getting them to read your content, you want to make sure that they fucking feel that way. And so for them to feel that way, you doing the frameworks, or worse yet, AI content removes that emotional touch that you care about, that they care about in your content. And so when we actually place all of these conditions on ourselves of copying somebody else's content style or doing as they do or saying as they do, all it does, I'm going to be honest, all it does is it actually repels your dream clients because they can feel that it is not your true self. They can feel that there is something stopping you, there is something hiding underneath the surface, which is that you don't trust your voice deep down. You don't trust what you have to say. You don't trust that you have the right content, the right answers to help your dream clients. And so we start outsourcing and getting in our head. And this is coming from somebody, I teach content. I have content fucking frameworks, you guys. I have programs that teach content, but oftentimes when I see a client in her head and I see her pulling out of her essence and her being with her content and her enjoyment for the creative process, I tell her not to buy from me. I had somebody recently say, I'm looking to improve my content skills, but I'm finding that I'm using AI a lot. Should I buy your magnetic messaging program? I could have easily said yes, but I said no. I said, please don't buy it because I do not want to contribute to you losing your voice even further. Because when we outsource to other people's frameworks, other people's ways, we lose our unique essence, which is the very reason that your dream client would want to buy from you. And so I want you to tap back in to you. I want you to come more at home to yourself and the way that you write your content, because that is a more magnetic energy, I guarantee you, than any content piece that you will ever write. Okay. So maybe this video isn't what you wanted, but if you made it all the way to the end, I know it's what you needed to hear. And I am all about in my leadership about telling you not what you want, but what you need to hear in order to grow. And if you have been clicking on these kind of videos of content videos, sales videos, there's one thing that I need you to know, and that is the problem and the solution lies in how you see yourself, not in the frameworks, not in the strategies, but in your internal identity. And when you work on that, and you can do that with me, you can come into Iconic, you can come into my private mentorship. We really, really work on the woman from the inside out because business is always going to grow to the rate at which you grow, and everything is a mirror. And when you are questioning yourself and you are questioning your content, I guarantee there are people scrolling past your work thinking, that would be cool, but they can't quite put their finger on why they don't want to sign up. And it is because they can feel energetically that you are not in your power. And so my job is to bring you into your power and to show you where you are losing it and to help you build that self-trust. And when we have that, then we can complement it with the content frameworks and the sales message and the offer positioning. But it really starts with you being fully in your embodied natural essence and power. And that is where your business will blow up. I guarantee you right now. And it is also where your dream clients will flood to you because they feel you more than they hear and see what you say. Okay. I hope you've loved this video as always. If you do want to dive deeper into this work and you not only want to learn how to build that level of self-trust and that personal power and that conviction, but you also want to take it and apply it to your offers, to your sales, to your messaging, to the through line, to the frameworks, and you want to bring the beautiful alchemy of the strategy and who you are and your essence, and you want to turn all of your creative juice and your creative ideas and what you feel is chaos and these like a million pieces of notes everywhere of different ideas, and you really want to turn it into a business that is heart-led, that helps people, that is a true embodiment of who you are, then I will drop the link to join my program below. This is where you will meet the most incredible soul-led CEOs who are scaling to multiple 6 and 7 figures and beyond. We are a group of women who take radical responsibility for our work. We are so committed to the growth from the inside out. This is where you will learn not only how to do the strategy, the sales, the content, the email marketing, the YouTube, the podcast, the offers, the conversion events, but also how to be more connected to yourself and the identity and the personal evolution and the leadership and the all of the things that encapsulates you becoming the most embodied, grounded, confident CEO you could possibly be. I will drop the link below. I would love to have you inside. It's application basis only. I will let you know if I don't think it's a good fit for you, because honestly, I would rather that than us have like a mismatch in fit. So you take no risks by applying and you only flirt with your future and what you know is possible for you and where you know you're going. So click the link below. I look forward to reading your application and to seeing you inside and to helping you grow to multiple 6 and 7 figures by being more of you and less of anybody else. And I cannot wait to work alongside you and your genius. So if you enjoyed this video, as always, drop me a like, a subscribe, a comment. Let me know which was most helpful for you. And I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Okay, goodbye.